Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, with our main topic today. Well, Egypt witnesses during this week, or celebrates this week, the 8 years that have passed on the 30th of June revolution, which is considered a turning point in the history of Egypt and symbolizes the courage and the will of the Egyptian people. During the past 8 years, we are going today to shed light on or evaluate the leap and developments that the sector of tourism have witnessed during the past 8 years. To shed more light on this, we have the pleasure to host this morning Dr. Ahmed Nour, the historian and researcher. Good morning, Dr. Nour.
Good morning, Ahmed.
Good morning. Well, Dr. Nour, we'd like that you give us an evaluation of the leap and development despite the challenges that the tourism sector have passed through during the past 8 years.
The truth that this sector of tourism suffered enough after 2011, and also in the beginning of after this events of 30 of June 2013, but the state and the government and the Ministry of Antiquities and Tourism did their best to return again like we were before in 2010, when we reached to 14.7 million tourists in Egypt. So we had many things in this 8 years. In the beginning, after 30 of June 2013, the number of tourists reached to 9 million, between 9 million till 11 million till 2015. After that, by the end of 2015, we have this accident of the Russian plane, and in 2016, the number of tourists returned to be 5.5 million. But after that, with many propaganda and events and inauguration of museum and excavations, and also opening new markets outside, we reached in 2017 to 8.3 millions.
Yes.
In 2018, we reached to 11.3 millions, and 2019 we reached to 13, little bit more than 13 millions in 2019, and the plan was to reach more than 14 millions in 2020. And the beginning was successful in January and February of 2020, because we had 2.2 or 2.4 millions only in 2 months. Yes. In the beginning of 2020. But after that, we had all the world had COVID-19, and then stopped tourism. Started again in 2020 when the Ministry of Antiquities opened all the sightseeing again for visitors, and also in October 2020, the cruises between Luxor and Aswan returned again. So started again tourism with new markets in Ukraine, Belarusia, Romania, Bulgaria, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan. We had a number by the end of 2020, and the beginning of this year till now started to return again, and we hope that next year we will reach to a number like we had before 2011.
Yes, Dr. Nour, now since President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi came to office, he gave very good care to the tourism sector in Egypt. So, and actually recently, since the challenge of the COVID-19 pandemic have started, he allocated monthly income for most of the people working at the tourism sector in order to help them, because it's suffered as any country around the world have suffered during the COVID-19, but here in Egypt, actually the situation is under control, isn't it?
Exactly, yes.
So if you would like to explain more and elaborate on this point.
After 2013, we had many projects in the country, in the state. We can see new cities, we can see bridges, we can see new roads. All this project affect positive in tourism, because now the plan also to connect between cultural and beach tourism. So when we had seen in the last few years many projects, inauguration of new museums in this area of Sharm el-Sheikh, for example, we have a museum. In Hurghada, we have a museum. This connected between the cultural and the beach tourism.
Yes.
Also,
so that's the importance of inaugurating museums in Sharm el-Sheikh and Hurghada.
Exactly.
Because a large number of tourists prefer the beach tourism. Like, for example, the Russian tourists.
Exactly. So the state also like they opened the new market, and all the plan to connect the beach tourism with cultural tourism, to open this museum at Hurghada and Sharm el-Sheikh, and also this new routes that connect between the beach and the valley, the Nile, the valley of the Nile. So we have overday between Luxor and Hurghada. So these tourists who come to Hurghada can visit Luxor in 3 hours.
Yes.
By bus, and visit East Bank and West Bank of Luxor, and return again to Hurghada at night. It's only 1 day, or we call it overday. The same thing from Hurghada or Sharm el-Sheikh to Cairo, to come 4 or 5 hours by bus to visit Egyptian Museum or pyramids and return again, or who can stay 1 night to visit the pyramids, a museum in 1 day and have a night, and then next day to visit Citadel, Coptic Cairo, Khan el-Khalili market, and return again to Hurghada or Sharm el-Sheikh.
Yes.
After
we have some videos here with us from the museums.
Sure, that we had or we have new museum in Sharm el-Sheikh, Hurghada, in Kafr el-Sheikh. This
Yes.
museum in Kafr el-Sheikh in the north of Delta is so important also,
Yes.
because this is the famous kingdom before the unification between Upper and Lower Egypt in Boto. So we have this new museum there. We have museums in Cairo, like the National Egyptian Museum of Civilization, and this big celebration with our president Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, when he was waiting to receive the royal mummies.
Yes.
All the world spoke about this, and were watching the inauguration of this museum, and also nowadays all the world is waiting the inauguration of GEM, or the Grand Egyptian Museum. We have a new idea. We have a museum of the administration capital that will be opened in next months. We have already a museum that already opened in Cairo airport. So this new idea, like exactly the new market that we opened in this area of Ukraine, Romania, Bulgaria, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan. This is the number of tourists or Belarus who are coming now to Egypt, and you are waiting the return of the Russian tourists to return again after the according, and will be or will start inshallah this year. So
Yes.
we will have a big number of tourists, because all the world are waiting to come after the vaccine and of this.
Yes.
inshallah.
Dr. Nour, also concerning the museums, how do you see the idea that was implemented under the directives of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, distributing or dividing the museums in all governorates, and not to be put in one same governorate?
Exactly, because when you will open new market, also you like to open new sightseeing and new museums. So when we will have a museum at Hurghada and Sharm el-Sheikh, this is new idea to connect between the beach and the cultural tourists. When you open a museum in Kafr el-Sheikh, so this is tourists or the entire tourism, and also increase a number of visitors from schools, universities, and Egyptian, and also to have the feeling of their history and the culture, and also the other foreign tourism. We have the Museum of Malawi, and this is one of the challenges of the government, because this museum, you know that it was stolen after 30 of June, exactly like the Egyptian Museum in 28th of February
2011.
2011, also about 52 or 53 pieces disappeared. So it was a challenge for the state and for Ministry of Antiquities. Many of this, or the majority of these pieces returned again, and to reopen this Museum of Malawi, it was a challenge, and already finished and restored some of these monuments and reopened again, and now it is open to visit. Also we have the Museum of, or Aton Museum at Elmenia, that will finish maybe in next, by the end of this year or next year, and also will be open, so it will be a new place to visit. And this is the idea that we have in this last years.
Yes. Also during the past years, the role played by the Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities under the directives of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, the renovation and the restorations of some old museums, and also the restoration, for example, of the Old Cairo.
Yeah, this is a big project. We have nowadays work there in this area of Old Cairo, and the aqueduct also. We have a big project there. The Islamic monuments and mosques in this area of Al Mu'izz or Al Gamaliya,
yes,
and also this area of Old Cairo is a big project. And we have tourists last month, or in April, or in May also, when they came before 4 years before they were in Egypt. When they came, and while we are walking in Cairo, they said everything is changed, everything is better. So this is the people who didn't come from 2014 or 2015, they returned. I was with some, I am working as a Spanish and Portuguese and English
yes,
tour guide. So I was some tourists. They noticed that we have, they said many things changed to the best. It is better, they mentioned, it is better than before. It is clean. Many projects, this is impression of our tourists who are coming these days. So we have projects everywhere, and I hope that we will continue because we will see our country like we hope
yes,
to see.
Yes. So, Dr. Nour, last year you were the president of the syndicate of the tour guide for Giza and Upper Egypt. And since last year, Egypt witnessed the discoveries in Giza, in Saqqara district.
Yeah.
A big discovery of the coffins, tens of coffins were, dozens, I mean, were
Yeah, we
Yes.
had
Were discovered
excavation.
so.
If we speak about excavation in last years, in last 8 years or last 3 or 4 years, we had a huge number of sites and the discoveries everywhere. In 2017, for example, they found the famous statue at Matariya. This statue that may be of Basmatic or Ramses or Middle Kingdom.
Yes.
But now in the garden of the Egyptian Museum at Tahrir Square. We had another discoveries in 2018. This area of, or this discovery to the south of the Pyramid of Unas, to the south of Saqqara,
Yes.
the embalming workshop there with 3 mummies and statues of Oshaptis and other statues also, or canopic jars. In 2018, we had this famous discovery also of the 26th dynasty in this area of Saqqara. In 2019, we had discovery of Al-Asasif with
Yes.
30 sarcophagus, 18 in the first layer and 12 in the second layer. We had the discovery of 40 mummies in Tuna El Gabal at El Minya. We have the discovery of Saqqara of 75 statues, some of God and the goddess, like Sobek, like Osiris, like Betah Soker, like Neat, and the other mummified animals like the cat.
Yes.
This famous discovery at Saqqara, the cemetery of animals, of cats, Sobek, Horus, at Saqqara. This was in 2019. Also in 2020, we have the famous discoveries.
A series
at
of discoveries,
Saqqara,
yes.
with this coffin, like you mentioned, they reached 259 sarcophagus and the coffin,
Yes.
with
Of high-ranking
untouched
officials.
mummies
Yes.
for high officials, high overseers, high priests from the pharaonic period, with many statues around, canopic jars. We forgot to mention the discovery of the famous tomb of
Yes, we
Hui.
have some videos.
Yes, this is Dr. Mustafa Waziri and Dr.
The,
Khalid
Minister
Al.
of
This is
Tourism
Dr.
and
Khalid
Antiquities,
Al
Dr.
Anani,
Khalid Al
Minister of Tourism and Antiquities. In one of these famous and several discoveries, like we mentioned in last few years, and we can see now the discovery of the coffins and sarcophagus of Saqqara. Something important, interesting to see this huge number of coffins, and still we have already, and we are sure that still some coffins and sarcophagus still heading one day to discover and to continue this also excavation, and we will have more and more discoveries in this area of Saqqara and the other areas also in El Minya, in Tuna El Gabal, in Luxor, in the north of Egypt. You know that also they discover important discovery in Al-Dakahliya.
Yes.
And they found many of this sarcophagus made out of pottery.
Yes.
It is something in El Khulgan in
Yes.
Dakahliya in Delta, and this is important to have excavation and the discoveries to the north of Egypt and this area of Saqqara, because it will open new places to visit and the new sightseeing to see everywhere. So all of this will increase the number of tourists who will think to come to see and to visit these new places to the north and to the south and in the middle.
Yes, in your point of view, what were the most important discovery of these all? Or let's shed light also on the importance of Egypt organizing the royal mummies parade, transferring the kings and queens, 22 kings and queens from the old Egyptian museum to the Egyptian Museum of Civilization in Fustat, that this event attracted the eyes of the whole world.
Yes, it was so important. And we this celebration, for example, of the royal mummies, when they removed from the Egyptian Museum at Tahrir to the National Egyptian Museum of Civilization at Al Fustat, it was the best propaganda that we had.
Yes.
And all the world watched this celebration, and till now we have friends from everywhere speaking and asking to come to see this new museum, and also the discoveries, because the people were sitting because of COVID-19 at home or in their state or in their countries.
In the whole world.
In the whole world. And they were watching each few days a new discovery, each month a new discovery. This is 40 mummies in Tun al Gabal in Albania. This is the wall of the, besides ram-headed statues in Luxor, which protected this area against the flood of the Nile. The discovery of Al-Ghurayfa in Tun al-Gabal in Albania, the discovery of Sohag, the discovery of tomb of Khuwi with the original colors at Saqqara, many sarcophagus and the coffins at Saqqara and before at Al-Asasif. So all of this made the best propaganda and sent a message that we are working, that we are continuing, that we have new things to come and to visit, and our country is safe to come and to visit here in Egypt.
I thank you very much for coming today and for joining us in the breakfast show, and for your valuable information, Dr. Ahmed Nour, the historian and the researcher. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you so much, Ahmed. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for following me. My name is Amal Mukhtar. I leave you with the rest of other segments in the breakfast show.
On the first line in the history book, on the cradle of civilization,